One of the biggest challenges I've had in life is around my relationship to time. For the longest time, I was living in lack, where time was going away, and I never had enough of it. And this really got magnified about a year and a half ago when my wife gave birth to our first child, something that I dreamed of for my entire life. And I'd even set aside time after he was born just so I could be there with my son. But guess what? I watched where the traditional 8 hours a day got chopped down to an hour, maybe two, where I was working on things. And in the process, I felt and created a lot of time guilt for myself. And I was like, wait a second, how in the world is this happening? This thing that is the best thing to ever happen to me in my life. And I'm sitting here living in lack. And this incongruency in my mind got me to start exploring more about my relationship to time and what in the world is going on. And what I want to share with you are the 4 phases to time mastery, something that I created that took me from living in a fixed mindset to one of a growth mindset. So let's go through each of the phases. Number 1, and this is where most beginners are at. I am that I do not have enough time. You might use the words, I'm busy, I'll get to it someday, I'm overwhelmed. You're living in lack, where time is in the distance. You never have enough of it. Sound familiar? This is something that I lived for the overwhelming majority of my life. And quite frankly, it's something that most people live in because we have so many things on our to-do list that we want to get to, but we just don't get to it. And in the process, we vocalize, I don't have enough time. And I was that person. I'm sitting there with my son and boom, I'm supposed to be so happy. But all of a sudden, I'm living in lack. And I'm like, man, what in the world is going on here? So as I started to audit this, I'm like, all right, let's just take this off the table. Imagine if I don't have enough time was never an option. It was never an excuse I will ever use for the rest of my life. Is that a possibility? And I'm like, certainly it is. And this is when we get to the intermediate level of time mastery. And what it is was a simple phrase or a declaration that I created. I am that I have more than enough time to get everything done. And think about this. All I did was change the framing of my language from I don't have enough time to I always have more than enough time to get everything done. Because at the end of the day, our time and our perception of time, all it is the story that we're telling ourselves. Well, if that is the case, instead of telling myself and yourself the story of living in lack, why not create the story that we always have more than enough time? And once I created that, I was like, huh, so you're telling me I can just throw in the trash that I don't have enough time? Yeah. And what this actually meant was, even if I had a big list of things that I wanted to accomplish and I didn't think I was going to be able to get to all of them, that is completely okay, because this isn't about a 1 + 1 = 2. This is all about the story that we're telling ourselves. So imagine coming from a position of abundance where I am that I always have more than enough time to get everything done. And man, that is an amazing feeling. And as I started to create with this, even in the instances in which I didn't get everything done that I wanted to, Rob, what do you do in that case? It's okay, because I always have more than enough time to get everything done. Because so often we will audit or judge ourselves on the micro basis. I should do this now. I should get all of this done. But let's stop shooting all over ourselves. That is not serving us. So when I went from scarcity, I don't have enough time, to I always have enough time, man, it's like the world went from black and white to color. And I'm just sitting here. It's like, boom. Oh, yeah, baby. I am loving life. And you will never hear from me speak out loud the words, I don't have enough time. Because why in the world would I create that? I would rather create the story, I always have enough time to get everything done. So boom, I'm living this abundance and I'm driving back from somewhere and I'm listening to a song that I've listened to, I don't know, 50 or 100 times. And all of a sudden, I pick up on something I had never heard before, at least at this depth. And it said, and time is just a blessing. And I was like, time is just a blessing. So I drive home and I open up my Evernote and I'm like, I am going to write down all of the ways in which time is a blessing in my life. And with this, we get the third level of time mastery when we go from intermediate to advanced. And this one is, I am that time is a blessing. So I wrote down on my Evernote, I'm like, all right, what are all of the ways in which time is a blessing? I'm like, time is a blessing when I get to spend it with my wife and my son, and when I can play basketball, and when I get to run or go to the gym, or I get to play fantasy football, or kick it with my friends, or I get to create content, or I get to work with my coaching clients, or help other people, or I get to learn new things. And I was like, oh my goodness. For all of this time sitting right there in front of me, I did not realize or see with my vision all of the blessings that time gave me every single day. And just like that, man, I shattered my own belief ceiling, because all of a sudden I went from, not only do I have more than enough time to get everything done, but now I am seeing time for all of the blessings that it creates in my life. And I encourage you to do this practice in the same way that I did it. Write down immediately after this all of the ways in which time is a blessing in your life, where it creates blessings for you. And when you see those blessings, you'll be like, wow, time creates so many opportunities to create more blessings. So not only are we living in an abundant mindset, now we're sitting here and we're adding this energy and frequency of blessings because of all that time creates for us. So, oh baby, I'm living in this. I was like, this is the absolute best. Time is a blessing. Boom. So I've been radiating on this for the longest time. And now it's time for the fourth level of time mastery. So a few months ago, I'm working with a coaching client, and he goes, and I always ask the same question every single time. What would you love to create today? And he's like, Rob, so often on the weekends, or pretty much my entire life, my wife is habitually late. She is always late for things. So it'll be Friday night, and we got dinner reservations at 8. And you know what? She will show up at 8:15, and she is going to be late. And it drives me nuts. And immediately when she shows up late, I get angry and it ruins dinner. And I do not want that to be the case. And I was like, cool, let's create that. So we're going back and forth in dialogue. And I'm like, all right, well, what about this possibility? What if the next time that your wife is late at home, you dance with her? He's like, what? I was like, yeah, I want you to dance with your wife the next time she is late. Will you do that and just see what happens? He's like, well, why? I was like, listen, because you can't control if she's going to be late or not. But what you can control is your response to her being late. So you can either choose to ruin dinner and be angry, or you can choose to do something else, which could be positive. So how about we dance with her and make this a good thing? Let's add some excitement, some spice. He's like, all right, I'm in. Let's do it. Comes back the next week, and I was like, hey, how'd it go? And he's like, Rob, you will not believe this. My wife was late last week for our dinner. And when she came out, I started dancing with her. And she's like, honey, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm dancing with time. And just like that, the light bulb went off for him, but then the light bulb went off for me in my own relationship to time. And I sat there, and this is the mastery level concept. And the fourth phase is I am that I dance with time. So all of a sudden I started to sit back and I was like, wait a second. How is it that I can dance with time? And all of a sudden I started thinking about it like I'm listening to No Diggity by Blackstreet. Dun, dun, but man, a little dance this way, a little dance that way. Because in our relationship to time, everything is always not going to be puppy dogs and rainbows. You've got some good time, and then you got some challenging time. But the way that you sometimes go this way, and then you go this way, and it's a little dance back and forth. And the way that you dance with time, and of course, there's the challenging times in your ability to see them and dance with them. But imagine your relationship to time. When you look at time and you're like, oh, baby, I love all that time gives me. I'm just sitting here dancing, having the time of my life. And boom, since this moment, I've been floating on clouds because I have gone from and created in my life. I used to be the person living in lack and scarcity and not enough. I don't have enough time. Then I went through the first to the second level of time mastery. I am that I always have enough time to get everything done. To the third level, I am that time is a blessing. To the fourth level, I am that I dance with time. And imagine what your life would be like as you move from scarcity to abundance, to the next level of time, and all that you could create. Because time is something that is with us every single day. But so rarely do we audit our relationship to time. So my encouragement for you and the call to action on this is what I would love for you to do is to audit your relationship to time. Where are you on that spectrum of time mastery? Are you at the beginner stage where you're living in lack and not enoughness? Or have you graduated to the intermediate level where you're seeing that you always have more than enough time? But what about phase 3? Are you seeing all the blessings that life is giving you? Or phase 4, the mastery level? Are you dancing with time where no matter what else happens, you're like, boom, baby, I am dancing with this because we have the opportunity to create a positive lens that serves us in everything that we do.